You've seen the palm trees, the perfect sunsets, the stories of actors making it big or tech founders striking gold. But there's another story California doesn't post. One that grows every year like a shadow over the Golden State Dream. Behind the boulevards, behind the beaches, behind the billboards, lies the brutal reality of homelessness. Not in isolated corners, but everywhere, from the coast to the desert. From cities built on innovation to those forgotten by time. So, subscribe and like the video cause today, we're diving into the 15 most homeless cities in California. And if you think you already know number 1, wait until the shocking state at the end. It's not what you expect. Number 15. Modesto. Modesto might be known for its farms and orchards, but its homelessness crisis is no less urban. With over 1,800 unhoused individuals, the streets around downtown have become semi-permanent camps. Despite modest funding efforts, many residents fall through the cracks due to substance issues or mental health crises that go untreated. The city's once thriving agriculture economy doesn't employ like it used to, and those displaced by job loss often find there's nowhere else to go. Local shelters are overwhelmed, and the heat in the summer can be just as deadly as the cold in winter. Mobile home parks are full. Motel rooms are too expensive. The tension in Modesto lies in its identity, trying to remain a small town while dealing with big city problems. Affordable housing developments are proposed, but constantly delayed. NIMBYism is alive and well. Many locals demand solutions, but few want them in their neighborhoods. Local organizations like the Modesto Gospel Mission do what they can, but they're overwhelmed. Even faith-based shelters now maintain long waiting lists. And some city council members argue over parking ordinances while people sleep under the freeway. It's a kind of homelessness that blends into the background, which makes it even more dangerous. No flashing neon signs, just exhaustion hidden in plain sight. If this is the starting point on our list, imagine what's coming next. Number 14. Santa Ana. Santa Ana is just minutes from Disneyland, but for over 2,500 unhoused people here, it might as well be a continent away. This city has become one of Orange County's most overwhelmed municipalities, and the gap between working-class roots and sky-high living costs is staggering. You'll find entire sidewalk blocks covered in tarps just minutes from government buildings. One park, Civic Center Plaza, has been the epicenter of encampments for years. The city clears them periodically, but they come back because the root issues are never resolved. Mental illness and substance dependency collide with rising rents and stagnant wages. Here, the average one-bedroom goes for over $2,000, well beyond what many working families can afford. So they crash with friends, sleep in cars, or end up in tents behind chain-link fences. What makes Santa Ana's situation particularly dire is the jurisdictional tug-of-war. County-level services often fail to coordinate with city-level needs. And in that vacuum, lives unravel. The community tries to help, but even faith centers and nonprofits are maxed out. Food banks run dry. Hygiene kits are rationed. It's a war zone without the bombs, and every day is a battle just to stay warm, fed, and human. The proximity to so much affluence makes the contrast feel crueler. You can hear fireworks from Disneyland while people eat dinner out of trash bin. This isn't a tale of failed individuals. It's a tale of a failing system. Number 13. Stockton. Stockton has been bankrupt once and seems spiritually bankrupt still when it comes to handling its homelessness problem. More than 2,000 unhoused residents roam the city, many along the San Joaquin River or near shuttered businesses downtown. Once hailed for innovation like its universal basic income pilot, Stockton has failed to convert bold ideas into long-term solutions. Its shelters are few and far between, and many residents complain they're unsafe, overcrowded, or poorly managed. Tent clusters grow under freeway overpasses while the city council debates zoning. The homeless here face an exhausting gauntlet: harassment, violence, and no sense of permanence. Their belongings are often confiscated. Some are cited for loitering. Others simply vanish into the river fog. The problem is compounded by the housing market's volatile swing. Rent has increased dramatically, but wages haven't kept up. Evictions are up. Foreclosures are back, and in Stockton, a single missed paycheck can start a downward spiral that ends in a sleeping bag on a sidewalk. And yet, in this chaos, there are grassroots heroes, volunteers running pop-up clinics, meal programs, and outreach efforts. But they're fighting a flood with teaspoons. The city needs infrastructure, not just inspiration. If you're still watching, thank you. This conversation matters. If you haven't already, leave a comment below. What's the solution that no one is talking about? Number 12. Santa Barbara. From a distance, Santa Barbara is paradise. Spanish architecture, coastal sunsets, but zoom in and the gloss fades. For many of the 1,900 unhoused here, that postcard beauty is an illusion that hurts. High-end boutiques sell $300 sandals next to alleyways where people sleep in the cold. The contrast is stark and suffocating. There's a reason Santa Barbara now ranks among the highest for homelessness per capita in the state. Tourists walk past sleeping bags and try not to look. Residents write complaint letters, but policy response remains sluggish. The city launched programs like safe parking zones and tent cleanups, but the root issues, housing scarcity and untreated trauma, remain unaddressed. Evictions surged after the pandemic protections expired. Those who are just scraping by now fall headlong into tents and despair. And because Santa Barbara doesn't look like a crisis zone, state-level attention often bypasses it. Mental health outreach is chronically underfunded. Shelters are forced to turn people away. And for women and LGBTQ+ individuals, safety is a constant concern in shared facilities. The surrounding wealth only adds pressure. Why are you homeless here? Some ask, as if beauty should be a cure. But paradise doesn't pay the rent. And even palm trees cast shadows. Number 11. San Mateo. San Mateo sits squarely in the heart of Silicon Valley. It has some of the highest per capita incomes in the U.S., and yet more than 1,500 people here are unsheltered. You don't see them at first, but they're there, along the creeks, in their cars, behind storage units. Why? Because the cost of housing here is almost laughable, if it weren't tragic. A single-bedroom apartment averages over $3,200. That's more than most people here take home monthly after taxes. And it's not just the unemployed. Many of San Mateo's unhoused actually work full-time. Teachers, cooks, even nurses. They live in RVs parked in industrial zones, careful to move before cops ticket them. There are no tent cities here, because the city sweeps them away fast. But the crisis doesn't disappear. It just goes quiet, hidden in cars, basements, couch surfing. And that silence is dangerous because it gives the illusion of control. San Mateo has tried innovative solutions, like sanctioned RV sites and hotel room programs. But demand dwarfs supply, and bureaucracy slows everything to a crawl. If you've made it this far, hit the like button. It helps more people see this. And the more we see it, the harder it becomes to ignore. Number 10. Berkeley. Berkeley built its reputation on activism and ideas. But in 2025, it's struggling with implementation. With nearly 1,000 homeless residents in a city of under 120,000, the problem is extremely visible. People sleep along Telegraph Avenue and in People's Park, a location with its own controversial history tied to free speech and protest. But what began as a symbol of resistance has turned into a symbol of urban neglect. The city council debates endlessly about tent sweeps, affordable housing, and sanctioned encampments. Meanwhile, the encampments expand, and so do the overdose rates, the trauma, the mistrust. Mental health care here is theoretically accessible, but in practice, it's tangled in bureaucracy. Many unhoused people cycle through emergency rooms and jails without ever receiving lasting support. And though Berkeley has one of the most progressive reputations in the country, its wealthier residents often resist housing projects in their own neighborhoods. This is the crossroads of idealism and implementation. And right now, idealism is losing. Number 9. Salinas. Salinas is the salad bowl of the world. But its workforce? Struggling to survive. With over 2,400 people living on the streets, many of them migrant workers. Salinas reveals how labor exploitation and housing insecurity go hand in hand. Farm workers, essential but invisible, are paid below living wage and often left without access to stable shelter. They sleep in fields, abandoned barns, or behind grocery stores. In many cases, entire families crowd into single motel rooms when they can afford it. And yet, Salinas rarely gets state-level attention. Why? Because its homeless population isn't intense downtown. They're in agricultural shadows, out of sight, out of funding. In Salinas, the American dream is picked from the fields, but never delivered. Number 8. Ventura. Nestled between Los Angeles and Santa Barbara, Ventura is often overlooked. But for the over 1,700 unhoused people here, invisibility is part of the tragedy. Unlike major urban centers, Ventura lacks the infrastructure and scale to handle an issue of this magnitude. That makes its homeless population uniquely vulnerable. Encampments often emerge along riverbeds or in canyons, places out of sight and out of reach. When floods hit, as they often do during California storm seasons, entire communities are washed away. Authorities clean up the debris, but the people, they're just displaced again. What makes Ventura's case especially painful is how preventable much of it seems. A surge in evictions, combined with seasonal job loss and minimal transitional housing, turns short-term setbacks into long-term displacement. And while the beaches remain pristine, the public parks have become battlegrounds between enforcement and desperation. Nonprofits like the River Community and the Ventura County Rescue Mission stretch every dollar, but they can't perform miracles. Meanwhile, city leaders often seem more concerned about preserving tourist aesthetics than human lives. This is a city at a crossroads, one that must decide whether it protects its image or its people. Ventura may not make headlines, but it embodies a silent crisis rolling through smaller cities across the state. And if this video is opening your eyes, don't scroll away just yet. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss deeper dives like this in the future. Number 7. San Jose. In a city where tech engineers earn $200,000 a year and billionaires build rocket parts, over 10,000 people live unsheltered. Welcome to San Jose, where prosperity and poverty run on parallel tracks, sometimes within the same block. RVs line neighborhood streets. People sleep outside of gleaming Google offices. Some even hold part-time coding jobs during the day, then return to tents at night. It's a contradiction so jarring it almost feels dystopian. Except it's real. While some companies have pledged to build housing, most efforts remain stuck in red tape. And in the meantime, people suffer. Even those with Section 8 vouchers struggle to find landlords who will accept them. The downtown area has seen repeated tent sweeps, often justified as public health interventions. But the effect is short-lived. Without alternative shelter, people simply set up camp again, usually within a mile. It's the kind of structural inequality that builds resentment. Among the unhoused, there's a growing awareness that the system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, just not for them. San Jose's homelessness crisis isn't a policy failure. It's the price of choosing profits over people again and again. Number 6. San Diego. San Diego is postcard California. Beaches, burritos, perfect sunsets. But beneath the tan lines lies a city with one of the highest unsheltered homeless populations in the country, over 10,000 and counting. The downtown area is dotted with tents, often within sight of tourist hubs like Gaslamp or Petco Park. And while some visitors avert their gaze, the locals live with the crisis daily. Emergency rooms double as shelters. Public libraries act as day centers. The city's safe sleeping zones offer controlled areas for tent dwellers, but these fill quickly. And with the cost of living ballooning, the flow of new homeless residents outpaces every effort. What's uniquely frustrating in San Diego is how close the city gets to meaningful solutions, only to backslide. A hotel conversion plan gets halted. Mental health outreach runs out of funding. Promises turn to press releases, then silence. Veterans make up a huge portion of the population here. The city has one of the largest concentrations of ex-military personnel in the U.S., many of whom deal with PTSD, addiction, or long-term disability. And still, they're left out in the cold. This is a place where sunny weather keeps the issue less fatal than in colder climates, but no less cruel. Because shelter from the rain means nothing if there's no shelter from despair. Number 5. Riverside. Riverside is where people go when they're priced out of Los Angeles. But when they arrive, they find the same impossible math. No affordable housing, low wages, and almost no support services. And so the cycle repeats. With over 5,000 people homeless across Riverside County, the area is buckling under pressure. Empty warehouses and strip malls hide encampments. Families live in minivans parked behind fast food chains. Whole neighborhoods seem suspended between hope and collapse. What separates Riverside from coastal cities is scale. There's more land, yes, but also less oversight. This makes the unhoused easier to ignore. Their suffering becomes scattered across highways, empty fields, and industrial zones. And while cities like San Francisco or LA draw media attention, Riverside struggles in relative obscurity. That means fewer grants, fewer programs, fewer advocates. Outreach groups like Path of Life Ministries try to help, but with limited beds and staff, they're forced to turn people away nightly. And the waiting lists for subsidized housing, sometimes over a year long. By the time someone finds a stable roof, they may have already lost their ID, their health, or their ability to trust anyone at all. If this video has stirred something in you, take 2 seconds, just 2, to comment below. It helps push this message to more people. And maybe, just maybe, that leads to change. Number 4. San Francisco. San Francisco should have all the answers. The city spends over $1 billion a year on homelessness, more than many states. And yet, over 7,000 people remain unhoused. Many live in the Tenderloin, where sidewalks double as triage centers for addiction and mental illness. The problem here is not just money, it's dysfunction, competing departments, endless red tape, and a resistance from residents to allow shelters in nice neighborhoods all conspire to make progress nearly impossible. Meanwhile, the opioid epidemic rages. Fentanyl overdoses are now more common than homicides. And for many, the only help comes from a paramedic and a Narcan kit. Tourists wander through this, visibly confused. How can a city with this much money feel this broken? Housing units sit empty while people die outside. The disconnect is profound, and no one in power seems willing to say what everyone's thinking. We've made homelessness a permanent fixture, something to manage, not solve. And that mindset, that's the most dangerous part. Number 3. San Fernando Valley. The valley was supposed to be the affordable alternative to the LA basin. But now, it's where over 10,000 unhoused people try to survive in heat waves and hopelessness. You'll see families in minivans at Walmart parking lots, elderly people in RVs hooked to makeshift generators, youth in tattered sleeping bags near subway stations. This isn't fringe homelessness. This is middle-class collapse. People who had jobs, routines, futures, but rents climbed, wages didn't. A single ER visit or job loss became the domino that sent everything crashing down. Shelters are beyond capacity. Outreach teams are underfunded. And mental health resources? The wait lists stretch for months. The crisis in the valley isn't loud. It's quiet, steady erosion. Its lives dissolving without warning. And if it can happen here, it can happen anywhere. Number 2. Skid Row. Skid Row isn't a nickname. It's a real place. 50 square blocks in downtown LA, where over 5,000 people live in tents, tarps, or nothing at all. This is where the word homelessness goes to die, because Skid Row is beyond labels. It's a humanitarian failure decades in the making. Drug overdoses, assault, mental illness, all playing out in plain sight. Every few years, a new mayor promises to clean it up. But Skid Row is not litter. It's lives, it's trauma, and it's people the system decided to abandon. The LAPD patrols regularly. Sometimes that brings safety, sometimes fear. What's missing is care. Real, institutional human care. Billions have been spent. Little has changed. And Skid Row remains a haunting reminder of what happens when problems are allowed to fester unchecked. Now, before we reveal the final city, here's the surprise place I promised. Shocking mention, Hawaii. Yes, Hawaii. A state often seen as paradise hides one of the worst per capita homeless crises in the nation. While this video focuses on California, Hawaii deserves mention. From the streets of Honolulu to remote Big Island corners, the cost of living has outpaced income by such a margin that many working families live in tents or cars. Shelters are overwhelmed, and like California, the beauty of the islands masks deep suffering. It's a reminder that homelessness isn't about laziness. It's about systems that abandon people. Let's finish now, the final stop, the epicenter, the undeniable number one. Number one, Greater Los Angeles. No surprise here. Greater LA holds over 75,000 homeless individuals. That's a city's worth of people without the city. From Venice Beach to Compton, from Echo Park to Hollywood, the tents are everywhere. Parks, sidewalks, church steps, bus stations, even the beach. This is the ground zero of America's homelessness epidemic. And the response? Political tug-of-war, Band-Aid policies, and the occasional sweep that just shifts the pain from one block to another. You can't walk through LA without seeing it. And yet, you can live here your whole life without doing anything about it. Because fixing homelessness requires more than money. It requires empathy, urgency, and a willingness to change the very system that created it. If that sounds radical, maybe it's because the problem is. And maybe it's time our response was too. We just walked through 15 cities and thousands of lives. Not one of them chose this, and yet all of them live it. If you believe this crisis is unacceptable, don't just scroll past. Share this, comment, subscribe, because the only thing more dangerous than homelessness is pretending it doesn't exist.